Dude, how do you think it would feel to be the smartest woman alive?
You're saying I'm not?
Yeah, sure.
Not like I can't do algebra or math or add. Anyway.
Math. We're gonna get into some math today.
I don't think I like this.
Neither do I. Both of us hate math. Well, Hypatia was an ancient Roman philosopher, literally the smartest woman of her time, and people knew it. And she was so smart that she became a threat to Christianity.
Oh, that's great.
And this is the story of Hypatia, the first female mathematician. We hate math, but we love women. Intro! Food. So, like, much of the information about Hypatia, the year of her birth is debated. Like, almost everything about Hypatia's existence is debated. Some believe that 370, so CE stands for Common Era. I don't know if you knew that.
I don't really understand the whole, like, time thing.
So, BCE is before Common Era, CE is Common Era, but it used to, like,
that's before Christ.
Right. So, we walk, the scientific community is going away from
Okay.
AD, which is after death, and BC, before Christ.
So, is CE, like, the equivalent of AD?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Just clarifying that. So, some people thought that Hypatia was born in 370 CE or AD, depending on your beliefs, but it's more widely accepted now that 350 to 355 CE is when she was born. Regardless, it can be agreed upon that she primarily lived during the 4th century in Alexandria, Egypt. Now, from my understanding, during this time period, Egypt was under the rule of the Roman Empire, and Alexandria was considered the intellectual hub for Western civilization. So, like, we usually consider, like, Egypt and Alexandria with, like, the pharaohs and, like, Egyptian and almost, like, close to more, like, Arabic information and, like, history, but in this context, it's going to be Roman. And the Greeks and the Romans and the Egyptians and all of them, they all were fighting over Egypt. They all loved Alexandria because it was an intellectual hub. So Hypatia was the daughter of Theon, and Theon was considered the most intelligent man in Alexandria, hence why later Hypatia becomes the most intelligent woman in the world. But Theon was the last member of the Alexandrian Museum. Hypatia may have had a brother named Epiphanius. I think it's like Epiphany, I think. Mm-hmm. Epiphanius. But there's a chance that he might have just been Theon's favorite student. There's like a meow. Sorry. There's like a term in a book that he uses. He's like, my dear Epiphanius. Or he says, my son Epiphanius, but like son could be used like my actual son or just like...
It's an endearment.
Yes, exactly. Regardless, we don't care about Epiphanius. We care about Hypatia. So Theon raised Hypatia to believe in the same ideals of education and thought that he so fiercely believed in. Theon didn't just train Hypatia's mind, he also trained her body, like literally created a physical routine, like a workout. And this would have been similar to how physicians today now say that working out is good for your brain. Hence,
this is
Eva
very
is
true.
so smart because she goes to the gym every single day, no rest days, only...
That's a little aggressive, but there is a lot of studies, and you can just go Google them online. But so, like, working out increases, like, the oxygen capacity to your body. Obviously, I'm using the wrong terms here, but you do, like, get new capillaries and shit in your body.
Yes,
but,
you
like,
do.
this also applies to your brain.
Vascularization.
Your brain will be better able to get to more oxygen at once, and therefore you'll think faster and better.
Yeah. It does always blow my mind that your body is just like, you're using a lot of this. Let me just create new blood vessels to it.
Yes. Super great. So, if you haven't already, go take a walk. Anyway. Okay. So, not a ton is known about Hypatia just because she lived such a long time ago. So, even the so-called, like, pictures are really just inferences of what she might have looked like, but it's widely regarded as she is the very first female mathematician in recorded history. So we're going to try to bring you as much of her actual story as we can, but do keep in mind that her life was fictionalized in the 19th and 20th centuries, so some of this information might not be entirely accurate. it is believed that Theon tried to raise Hypatia as the perfect human. That's such like a boy thing to do. I can't explain. Like,
What do you mean?
it's like I'm gonna have this like such like an intellectual trope of like being a man. It's
I
like
see.
I'm gonna have the perfect child, and it's gonna work out, and it's going to like it just becomes like a thing. It's
I
like a
see.
mini you. I guess it's like how some parents, like especially dance moms. This is so not on topic. Will like live vicariously through their kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is great for Theon because he didn't care if she was a girl. He was still gonna live vicariously through her.
I mean, they loved homosexuality back in the day.
How does this relate to her being a girl?
Well, I thought that you said he was gonna live vicariously through her.
I mean, it just does like a like as an offspring, not as like a.
Never mind. It's fine. I don't know what. Okay. The Greeks really loved their homosexuality, and so did the Romans.
I mean, yeah, but regardless, he taught her astrology, and mathematics. Additionally, he taught her about many different religions and the power of rhetoric. When we think of rhetoric today, we often think of a rhetorical question, like a question that is asked but it's not intended to be answered. But, sorry, if you hear weird noises, that's my cat doing weird things. And it's not math, but... So rhetoric back in ancient Greece, Rome, and Egypt was the art of persuasive speech and the power to change people's opinions. So on top of all of that, Theon also taught Hypatia how to teach others. So this girl was walking around Alexandria being the most educated woman and talk of the town. So much that people began traveling from other cities just to be taught by her. So there's a really cute account where Theon was making a conclusion about something and he cites Hypatia as the philosopher, my daughter. That's really cute. Yeah, but anyway, you can tell that he was really proud of her.
So Hypatia continued the works of her father in preserving and analyzing ancient Greek texts on astronomy and mathematics. They preserved Euclid's Elements, like the book is called Elements, and it's like an anthology of proofs. If you don't know what a proof is, that's so wonderful for you. It's basically explaining why an equation is the equation and how it works and why it works. I am also really confused about like how do you make a proof? How do you make the first proof by not knowing what other things are? Because the whole point of a proof is that you verify your conclusion based on previously concluded ideas. But if you make the first conclusion, how do you conclude that idea?
You kind of just theorize on theories and theories, is my theory. And that you just have a bunch of like kind of baseless things that kind of make sense, but like make sense to one person. And then people just like, you know how like scientific papers, like you might cite something or someone might cite something, but that citation that they originally cited isn't necessarily true. It's like based on some like random theory,
I suppose.
That's kind of my guess.
But like Bro was like the first one to do it. He was the original theory, but his theories were proofs.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know. Elements is really complicated. And honestly, the whole reason that they were analyzing it was to make it simpler for people to understand. So if you have the horrifying opportunity to read Elements, that's so great for you.
I mean...
Unless like you're a math major.
Maybe physics. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of math.
Yeah, probably. But... apparently, this is like the most translated, studied, and published book in the Western world besides the Bible. I don't know if I believe that.
Like currently? Probably not.
I don't know currently, but...
at some point?
I mean, I don't remember which exact source it came from. Well, one of the... I think it was from the Smithsonian.
Okay.
And the Smithsonian updates their stuff pretty regularly.
Yeah, they're quite reliable.
So, I feel like... I don't know. That's insane, though. Who is reading Euclid? Anyways, if you hate geometry, blame Euclid, because he's literally the father of geometry. Anyways, Hypatia and her father also worked on Ptolemy's amalgamist. Anyways, and the handy tables, which I personally think is cooler than Euclid, because you math. Ptolemy was more like astronomy. Like, yes, there was math involved, but like stars are cool. And it's like a rudimentary manual and guide for European and Islamic astronomers. Hypatia's achievements were often just boiled down to math, like she's literally called like the first female mathematician. But she was more than math. She really loved her math, but she was more than math.
Individually, she analyzed Apollonius of Perga's treatise on conic sections, which is geometry, more geometry, and it expands on elements. The book. Like, the most simplified explanation would be that it's a book on how to draw, like, shapes. It's just geometry.
Like, it's like, if you put a point there, and a point there, and a point there, and connect them all with a line, you make a circle. Like, that's literally, like, what I was looking up.
Okay. Just look at a triangle. Anyway, I think I hate this. Additionally, before I crash out, she also did Arithmetica by Diophantus of Alexandria, which again, in the most simplified way, is a bunch of arithmetic and algebra solved equations.
Like, you know those times tables when we were little where we had to go and like do them? It's a whole book of just that.
That's, I think, where the end of my fun in math ended. But so Hypatia said, okay, so this man wrote a lot of words for the sake of writing words. So her version of it made it a lot easier to understand. So this is great because you're making education accessible to everyone. So again, we stay hating on math, but let's give credit where credit is due, because this type of stuff was revolutionary at the time, and look-y, they are the basis for so many important things in our modern world, like bridges and meteorology and physics and astrology and physics and math, and you get the point. So
shout out to Kate for physics. We hate math, but our one friend really likes physics.
She was taking physics for fun.
Yeah, she had no reason to be taking physics whatsoever. She was a genetics major.
So
what physics is there in genetics?
I don't know, but if there's any random physicist that watches us and wants to give her a job...
Yeah, please do. Try to give Kate a job through the podcast.
She'd be really great. She's passionate.
She is passionate about dogs.
Okay. Say dogs?
Yes.
Dogs in physics.
Yeah, if anybody's like a dog physicist, Kate would really like a job.
Unfortunately, Hypatia's commentary on treatise on conic sections, this big book about math, okay, and Arithmetica have been lost to time in history.
Yeah, like there's, like, they know that she wrote about it and she analyzed it, but like the physical copy, because like they all wrote on papyrus at the time.
They don't know what the heck she wrote. Okay, I need to...
It's okay.
Cat break.
Meow. He feels like a rug.
I did not appreciate that. Alright.
But yeah, Hypatia and all of these like ancient philosophers wrote on papyrus, which is like super thin paper made of, well, I guess paper is made of plants. But it was really fragile plant, and
I mean, even a piece of paper we would have now is gonna degrade.
But that was like flimsy. Like,
skinty paper.
It was skinty paper. Like, it was basically translucent. So even though Hypatia was a woman, it seems like agreed upon that like she was an expert mathematician and astronomer in the world when she was alive. Like, people were like, she's a woman, but like she can look at math she can do. She continued to teach and lecture on philosophical topics, and she wasn't quite as an expert in philosophy, but people still traveled like wide and far to hear her speak. She was often addressed as the most wholly revered philosopher and, quote, the philosopher. So now there's a saying by Laurel Thatcher Ulrich that said, "Well-behaved women seldom make history." That's honestly my favorite quote. But she was right. Despite being an accomplished mathematician and astronomer, Hypatia is often boiled down and only remembered for her extremely tragic death related to Neoplatonist ideas, and they were seen as pagan and heretical by the Christians. And the Christians said, no, we don't like it. Neoplatonism as a concept, I tried. I'm not gonna lie, I really tried. Yeah. I have no idea how to explain it. It's like a philosophy, but it's also a religious belief. Yeah. And it's centered... when I was reading it, it kind of sounded like Hinduism, like low-key. Because, like, in Hinduism, there's a bunch of different versions and interpretations of Hinduism. But, like, you have, like, I don't know, like, everything is part of, like, our God. Like, some people just say God, some people say, like, Brahma or, like, whatever. But it's like there's one being, and everything is just a version of that being.
Okay.
And it seems that's what Neoplatonism is as well. Like, they have, like, the one, and then everything is just a step down and a different variation of that one. But I really don't know how to explain that, so please don't come for me in my explanation of Neoplatonism. All you need to know is the Christians really didn't like it. But this time when Hypatia was kind of teaching and spreading her thought, Christianity started to dominate other religions. Like, dominate. Like, they were like, we're the only religion. And they hated Hypatia and her teachings and her intelligence and Neoplatism. And they were really intolerant. And so they said, you don't like our beliefs? You don't believe in our beliefs? That's no big deal. You're fine. We'll just kill you.
So that's how she died.
Yeah.
They killed her. So there was this guy named Theophilus, and he was the bishop of Alexandria until his death in 412 CE, or AD. So despite his association with the church, he was super chill with Hypatia and was even, like, close friends with one of her students. So actually, a lot of Hypatia's students were Christian, and they didn't really care about her religion or lack thereof. They just wanted to learn and be educated, I guess. But regardless. So Theophilus did kind of, like, destroy the last of the Library of Alexandria.
Which, like, if you don't know anything about history, the Library of Alexandria was, like, supposedly, like, the most infamous, beautiful center of learning and education in the world, and there's never been anything like it before. Like, there was never anything like it before, and there hasn't been anything like it since.
So that was really nice of him to, like, go and destroy that.
I'm very passionate about the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah, I think the normal person should be, honestly. Well, at least he let Hypatia do whatever she wanted, like her mathematics and astronomy, under his, like,
bishopness.
Well, unfortunately, Theophilus' nephew and successor, Cyril, was not quite so kind, and created an extremely intolerant Alexandria. So riots broke out in the streets, and it's even believed that Cyril planted seeds of doubt with the commons by spreading rumors about her. Oh man, this bloodline is not chill.
No.
So, moreover, Hypatia was friends with Orestes? So what a name. With whom Cyril was fighting for control of Alexandria. So, at least to say, Cyril really did not like Hypatia.
So, funny enough, Orestes, like, homie who was friends with Hypatia, he was also a Christian. He just believed that the church and state should be separate. Who said that? Maybe they had it right. Anyways, but Cyril did not believe that. He wanted the church to have full control of the state. And Cyril actually tried to assassinate Orestes, like, multiple times, and he failed every time. But Hypatia, on the other hand, was an easier target, and she was much less likely to be guarded. And she was, like, not necessarily a political figure, but, like, people knew who she was. And she was, like, seen as a figure who opposed the church. She was outspoken. She was a pagan woman. Like, she was a good target. At least for Cyril. And so the rumors from before that Bro planted caused civil unrest and riots, which led to a divide that eventually ended up killing her. So a mob led by Peter the Lector, which I don't know if his name is Peter the Lector, because there are some sources where it's like his name is Peter the Lector, and then there are other sources where it's like a lector named Peter. So I don't know if a lector is like a speaker, like a lecturer.
I feel like for the times it would make sense.
I don't know, but a dude named Peter led a mob to lynch and kill Hypatia when she was on her way home. And this occurred in 415 CE. So the date of her death, or not the date, but the year of her death is recorded. And she was believed to be about 60 years old. There are two pretty brutal versions of the story. The first said that a mob dragged her through the streets of Alexandria, scraped the flesh from her bones with oyster shells, and then burned her body. The second said that she was attacked in a carriage on her way home, dragged into a church where she was beaten to death with roofing tiles, and then her body was torn apart and burned. Yeah. So regardless, it's very obvious that she had a very gruesome death, and all because she was just firm in her beliefs.
That's insane.
Imagine a mob coming after your, like, 7th grade geometry teacher.
Because she believed in triangles.
Burn the triangles! And oh my god, I'm imagining her ghost just being like, that wasn't the most effective shape for the fire to spread correctly. You should have used a more acute triangle. The angles!
I don't have any comments. So, Hypatia never married and never had children. So with her died the lineage of one of the greatest thinkers. So there's a funny instance when men tried to court her. Hypatia played the lyre to try and soothe their lust. That girl what?
like someone's trying to like come court her, and she said, yeah. And she was like,
I feel like
it'll soothe them.
I feel like that's doing the opposite. Anyway. Besides the church's hatred for her, Hypatia was described as an exceedingly beautiful and fair of form, in speech articulate and logical, in her actions prudent and public-spirited, and the rest of the city gave her a suitable welcome and accorded her special respect. I believe this is one of the few instances in the ancient world where a woman's sex appears to be irrelevant to her achievements.
So, Hypatia of Alexandria was more than just the first recorded female mathematician. She was a philosopher, an astronomer, and above all, a teacher. She devoted her life to knowledge in a world where ideas were easily silenced by fear and violence. She made extraordinary accomplishments for a woman of her time, and her knowledge became foundational for many other scientists such as René Descartes and Isaac Newton. If you don't know who Descartes is, I hope you at least know who Newton is. Anyways, she became a symbol for feminism and atheists alike. Even the famous French philosopher Voltaire used her to condemn the church and religion. Her murder was a tragedy, but it could not erase the legacy she left behind. Hypatia's life reminds us that knowledge is an act of courage. To pursue truth, to share wisdom, and to challenge ignorance are radical acts that carry weight in every age. She stood at crossroads of science and philosophy, teaching that reason and inquiry are not luxuries, but necessities for human progress. And that is the end of Hypatia.
Yippee!
The end. Woo, woo.